Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam, and welcome to Makeover Monday. Makeover Monday. It's that day of the week where we check in with ourselves, check in with our direction, where we're going, how we're feeling, how we want to sort of tweak our game from last week. What we liked about last week, and what we said, you know what, I got to change it. I got to work on my diet, my health, my meditation, my spiritual practice, my chanting, my private study, whatever I was last week. This week has to be different. I'm gonna try to turn the screw a little. I personally am, and if you're on the board, if you're on our message board, our Discord thread, which you get from joining our Patreon group, because it's a community-supported podcast, you can write up your Makeover Monday on the board. Tell us where you're at this week, and we try to give you some accountability and some support. Kaustubha, good morning. Mara, good morning, you guys. You're my best friends.
Morning.
What's that? What did you
You're
say?
my best friends.
Oh.
I was just in lovely Florida.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it was great. Our good friend Alexis Martin, been to India with me, and she runs these teacher trainings. I've been down there, and there's some steady others down there, including Brittany. Shout out to Brittany. She listens every day. But
Nice.
a bunch of cool people. You know, people need, you know what I realize? People need the Bhagavatam, and they don't need it every now and then. They need it every day. Srimad Bhagavatam every day. It's like the medicine.
I'm with you on that.
Make it your cup of coffee every morning, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Mara's still in there. What's your realization, Mara? You've been in this game now for a while.
I don't know. I don't have any grand realizations this morning, Raghu.
Everybody's a little slow this morning.
It's a little slow.
Everybody's
You know what?
tired.
I'm on, I kid you not, 2 hours and 10 minutes of sleep. I'm on 2 hours and 10 minutes of sleep, and I'm wide awake, and I'm ready to go.
I thought I was wiped out.
And
I gave a 6-hour class yesterday for this One Spirit seminary.
So did I.
I gave a
And one
12-hour
on Saturday. No, I actually gave a 6-hour class and one the day before. So there you go.
But you know, I enjoyed it, and it was great people. But it's hard to just speak into a computer for 6 hours. So
Oh yeah, I hate it.
Yeah,
Sick of it.
sick of it.
Except for you people.
Well, here we have some back and forth too. It's like, it's kind of more of a dialogue. But in any case, let's dive in, right?
I think Raghu might have.
Okay.
There you go. Okay. I'm getting a new mic stand like Kaustubha. Everybody noticed Kaustubha's got a cool new mic stand?
Now we know.
It's like an
I did a
arm
1 month
that comes
experiment
in.
to see if Raghunath would notice. He didn't notice. And today, because he sounds so quiet, I don't know why. But I was saying, you got to get that mic right in your face. You got to get one of these. You got to get one of these boom arm mic stand things.
Yeah, I'm doing experiments on you, Kaustubha, too. I've been noticing things and keeping notes about you.
Okay.
And let you know what I've revealed.
When are you going to let me know?
I'm going to tell you my whole team of people. I got a team of people taking notes on you every day.
Okay.
All right, so I got no nugget for you, man. My only nugget is every day, Bhagavatam, for me, and you guys get the benefit too. But I'm doing this for me, guys. I'm selfish. I need accountability. I need spiritual life in my life. One of my big realizations is I definitely need my spiritual day to wind down with something spiritual. That's a big one.
Okay.
I need to wind it down.
And what do you
Sweet Baby
recommend?
Krishna tonight is this Tuesday, by the way. If you want to join us, Sweet Baby Krishna, Tuesday night, if you're a Patreon member. Not a Patreon member, come on, people. For the price of a cup of Joe, join our patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. But yeah, a wind down. All right.
Let's
Kaustubha,
wind it
why
up
don't you
now.
tell-
Now you got to
let's
wind it up.
Why don't you tell the people where we are?
Well,
we are,
why
what
don't
we're
we chant
doing.
our mantras?
All right. Narayanam namaskritya naram chava narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madiraye. Before reciting our Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta priyeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my guru has come and opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances to his lotus feet.
You're back to Torchlight.
I'm back to Torchlight. You know, I do want to give another shout out again to this lady, Brittany. She's super wonderful. She's a
Tell us
regular
about
other
Brittany.
from
This is the
Daytona.
person you met down in Florida?
I met her like 2 years ago because last time I was down in Daytona Beach, I did a teacher training and she was there, and I recommended Wisdom of the Sages, which wasn't even called Wisdom of the Sages back then.
Super
And
Soul Sacred
she
Sangha.
said for the most part, I have not missed one day since then.
Wow.
It's pretty impressive. But you know, it's
What's her
one
name?
of
Brittany?
these
Brittany, you said?
Brittany.
Okay.
But for the most part, it's one of these things. Like I started this really for my own well-being and accountability. That was one of the reasons, and a few reasons, but that was one of them. And you know, I can see in her from what I remember from her the first time I'm meeting, like she's a changed person. She knew everything about me, and I didn't realize that because she listens to the podcast. She's like, "Yeah, I'm excited
I know about
your new-"
Gus.
She goes, "I gave you." She goes, "I brought you some incense for your new altar." I was like, "How do you know I have a new altar?" She's like, "I listen to this. I tell you, I listen to the show every day." So anyway, it's powerful, and what we do for our own benefit, like she's doing it for her own benefit, but it affects, like she's a school teacher. It affects everybody that comes in contact with her. And what I'm doing for my
That's
benefit
nice
is going to
to think
affect
about.
everybody. Yeah, we do not live in a bubble. We do not live in a snow globe or on an island. Whatever we do affects everybody around us, both good and bad. And so it's very important, like how we take care of ourselves. People are watching, whether we know it or not, and people are getting inspired or they're getting heartbroken. And so it's almost our duty to the world to be inspired, to live an inspired life.
Let's do it. How do we do that?
Man. Well, there's different ways, but one way is regular attendance in class in the Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya.
Yeah, Nityam. Oh, hey, by the way, you know, I got a gift the other day from Liam. And you're not the only one with one of those Tibetan hats now.
Oh, you got a Tibetan hat, man.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Thank you, Liam, for that. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Liam. I'm waiting for my gift, Liam. Anytime you're ready.
When I put it on.
I'm the one who brought you there. Come on.
You,
Give me a gift.
I brought him there. When I put it on, I felt that enlightenment that you felt, Raghunath. You know, it transferred.
I've lost my enlightenment. Liam's great.
Yeah.
Got some good people out there. All righty, sir. Where is
All right.
we?
So yeah,
Canto
you know what the
3.
subject is today? It's exactly what you're talking about. It's about hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. That's what we're going to hear about. When we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, that's what it's going to be talking about today. You know?
Okay.
So we're on Srimad Bhagavatam. We're in chapter 9, which is the continuation of Lord Brahma's prayers. Lord Brahma is the creator.
Yep.
and he's praying for creative energy, right? He's praying for empowerment. He's praying for the right understanding so that he can do his service of creation in the right way. And we're on text 11.
Text 11. Okay.
Yeah, it's a nice verse and a nice commentary. I think we can do the whole thing. But this is all related to what you're saying. You know, like it's when we think of yoga and yogic practice, you know, we might think of so many different things. I don't think that you know, I guess in the bringing of yoga to the West, you know, which kind of, you know, it goes back, but you know, I think it caught on a little bit in the 60s and in the 70s, and then, you know, more at the turn of the century. But, you know, what was emphasized especially was asana. And even in realms of meditation, you know, certain ideas were there. But you never got the impression from most of these teachers that brought it over that it was like just by hearing, right? Just by sitting down, you know, and really just taking this stuff into your mind on a regular basis, that you transform. But that's really what's being stressed. It'll be stressed here in this verse, and it's stressed a lot in the Bhagavatam. Shravanam, right? Hearing.
Yeah. All right, text 11. Let's get in here. Oh, my Lord, your devotees can see you through the ears by the process of a bona fide hearing. I love that, bona fide hearing. And thus their hearts become cleansed, and you take your seat there. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal, in the eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you. Let me read that again, make it a little more
Yeah,
fluid.
let's read it again.
Oh,
Read
my
it
Lord,
louder, Raghu. Read it louder.
Oh, my Lord, your devotees can see you through the ears by the process of a bona fide hearing, through the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts become
Why
cleansed.
don't you read it one more time? It's 2 hours sleep.
Oh, my Lord, your devotees can see you through the ears by the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts become cleansed, and you take your seats there. You take their seats.
Just
in their
one.
heart.
It just takes one seat there.
You take one seat there. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you.
There's a couple important concepts there, right?
Yeah.
You know, this idea, he's saying that if you hear Bhagavatam, that God enters into your body, right, through the ears. And he finds his way down to your heart, and he sits there, right, and stays in your heart. And, you know, it sounds like poetic language, but I think it's more than that, you know, that there's actually a real presence there in a unique and powerful way. Of course, like the Paramatma is always there for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's saying that if we hear about Krishna, actually that form of Krishna is there in the heart, and it for real. Like, and you walk around with that, you know. You know, you sometimes you have your Sheila, right? Like you have your
Sheilas now.
Huh?
I have many Sheilas now.
Yeah. And but sometimes when you travel, you have this little pouch. So that Sheila is like, and it's kind of an esoteric thing, and it's hard for a lot of people to understand, but it's like worshiping God in that form of this stone, right?
You could call it a magical stone if you like.
Yeah. And and when you travel, sometimes you have this little pouch that kind of is like a necklace kind of thing. Like you kind of drape it over your neck, and then you have that Sheila right there on your heart.
Yeah.
And when you walk around with that, do you feel like it's kind of special? Like you kind of have God right there with you all the time.
I feel like I'm Garuda carrying Lord Vishnu around, flapping around, carrying the Lord with me.
And does it affect the way that you think and the way that you behave?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So I think it's saying like that it's like, you know, those people that are really deep in their bhakti, you know, that are really conscious of God all the time. I think that they, you know, you can see that they're walking around feeling that presence all the time and it's in the heart. That's actually where it is. Like, even like, it's not even poetically saying that, but it's like actually in that area of their body, they're feeling the presence of God.
Mm. Well, I like the idea of also cleansing, cleanses one. There's an idea of a external bath to be clean, but it's always stressed in all these Vedic teachings that there's an internal filth that we walk around with on a regular basis.
Yes, yeah.
And we're
yeah,
very
Phil.
careful, and people are explicitly careful nowadays. It's sort of like, you hand them a plate of food, and they're like, "Where's that grown? Where's that from? Is that locally sourced? Is it a conventional tomato you're going to serve me, or where did you get that rice from? Is it gluten free?" And we become hyper concerned in a good way of what we're consuming through the mouth.
Mhm.
But what we're consuming through our consciousness, through our ears, through our reading, through our media,
Mhm.
it has the ability to either uplift our mind or defile and degrade the mind. So you don't just put anything in your garage. Your garage is like it's your garage. You don't just, you know, I've got these sheep, So sometimes I leave the garage door open, the sheep get in there and they just crap all over the place. And that's like power wash. I got to power wash that. The sheep get in there looking for food. So it's like you just let anything random in your mind and it just stinks up. You talk about your body being a temple. Your mind is like a temple. And you got to keep that mind clean because it's affecting what's coming out of your mouth. And your mouth can wreck your life. It can liberate you or it can wreck your life. In Bhakti, we use the mouth to liberate ourselves with kirtan, with chanting, with the way we speak, the way we treat each other. If we're doing it right, there should be nothing but magical sounds coming out of your mouth.
Hmm.
But if we're doing it wrong, that same little opening degrades the consciousness. It hurts people's feelings. It makes offenses. It gossips. So there's an internal cleanliness. And when we keep Krishna in the form of sacred literature or sacred sound inside, seated in our heart, the mind also becomes clean. And when something's very clean, you start to notice once there's any little garbage in there. Like, hey, don't, like my kids get in my car. Hey, I just cleaned my car. Pick that up after yourself,
Mm-hmm.
Not that my car is ever that clean, but it's an analogy, Kaustubha. It's an analogy. Like, what are you talking about? I've been in your car.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time that this has been brought up in the Bhagavatam about like hearing Bhagavatam through the ear and then God sitting in the heart. Because you remember those prayers, we've read them before. They're back in the second canto in chapter 8 when Maharaj Parikshit is speaking to Sukadeva Goswami and he's feeling excited, right? Because this is second canto. So Sukadeva Goswami started speaking at the beginning of the second canto. Right. First canto he didn't even speak. He just
Right.
kind of got
That's right.
introduced at the end, right? And then he starts to speak in the second canto, and by the 8th chapter of the second canto, it's like Maharaj Parikshit is like flying high, right? He's about to die, right?
Yeah, and he's wired.
But he's all wired. Yeah, he's up. He's not going to sleep. You think you got 2 hours of sleep? He didn't even sleep for 7
He
days.
didn't sleep. Yeah.
Right. So he's like completely spiritually wired, and he's feeling it. He's like, my God, this Sukadeva Goswami, this beautiful character, just like walked into my world and just started speaking Bhagavatam, and this is just what I needed. This is just what I need to hear. So he's feeling all excited, and he's feeling through the words of this person who's speaking Bhagavatam. It's entering through my ears, and poof, I feel this lighten up in my heart. So this is what he says. I'm going to read a few verses, okay?
Please.
In his excitement, in his enthusiasm, in his appreciation, these are his words. He says, "Oh, greatly fortunate Shukadev Goswami, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, and being completely freed from material qualities, thus relinquish my body." And then he says, text 4 for chapter 8 of Canto 2. This goes for everybody, all the wisdom of the sages, listeners, Zoomers, others, everyone. He says, persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of God, Sri Krishna, manifested in their hearts within a short time.
That is a tattoo right there. It's a neck tattoo.
You need a big neck for it.
You need a big neck, yeah.
You go read it around. You go to But and when it says a short time, let's see what Sanskrit is.
What is short time?
It
Is
says
that
like a
year
short time.
or like a week?
I don't know. I don't know exactly how long it takes. It says the kalena, which refers to the time or the duration of time. It says kalena na atidirghena. It's for just like not for a very long time. It's saying for a short time. Because when we look at different yoga processes like Ashtanga yoga, right? That might take a lifetime. That might take more than a lifetime. It's a difficult process of self-discipline, right? Where on the basis of one's own strength, they're trying to conquer the mind. Same with Jnana yoga, where you're also living this life of intense renunciation. You even in the Gita, when Krishna's speaking about Jnana yoga, he says, Bahunam janmana ante jnanavan mam prapadyante. After many births and deaths, someone may become a jnanavan. Someone may possess that full knowledge. But here's saying in a short time.
Yeah, it's the mercy. Truthfully, it's the mercy of all of the people listening that they share it with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And we've probably all experienced this when you hear truth, something is like, it's like a bell is bong, a big gong. And the first person that ever spoke to you in transcendental knowledge, or you heard a kirtan from, something happened to you and sort of like resonated with you. So it's in this process of hearing. It's like the first domino that is like getting knocked down. And from that, we develop a taste and an eagerness, and then a very healthy, sweet addiction.
Sweet addiction. So again, he's saying, he says, anyone, if they listen to this Bhagavatam regularly and they take it seriously, like, this is my practice. This is what I do to become a better person. This is what I do to elevate my consciousness. I'm serious about this Bhagavatam, right? So if you do listen to it regularly with the right disposition, with the right attitude, then God becomes manifest in their hearts within a short time. And then he goes on. He says, the sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, namely the Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of their loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association. Right? All that junk that you're talking about, it starts to just clear it right out. He says, such as lust, anger, and hankering.
Hankering's a big one. When am I going to get this? When am I going to get that? Then
what about lust and
then
anger?
I'll be happy. I'm over that.
Okay, good to know.
That was in my 40s.
All right. Now it's all about hankering.
But hankering's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just means I'm not happy here. I gotta get there.
Yeah.
Hankering is a huge one.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of talk, in the yoga world, about like living in the moment, right? And hankering means you're not living in the moment. But when you're not, it actually means like you're actually not plugging into the. If you're doing a practice to transform your mind, you have to actually get absorbed in that in the moment. And hankering just always, most of us live in a constant state of hankering.
When I first went to the temple, one of the first times I ever went to the temple.
Which temple now? Brooklyn?
In Brooklyn. And I saw, it was Jayadvaita Swami, matter of fact. I started talking to him, and he said something like...
Jayadvaita Swami's a character.
He's a very interesting, beautiful
very
character.
Philosophical, very
Deep.
Sharp, very very devoted.
Cut through all my nonsense quickly.
That's what he does. That's what he's all about. He's a cutter.
He's like an ego butcher.
Yeah, he'll butcher you. He's not shy to butcher you.
Butchered your ego.
But he does it with love. Right?
He does. Very sweet.
Okay.
But he said just something which you hear a lot, but the first time you hear it, it was like a really, flags went off. He said, in material consciousness, the living entity does nothing but hanker for the future and lament for the past. And I thought, that's my whole life.
There you go.
Hankering for the future, lamenting for the past. Oh, the good old days. Oh, back in the day. And tomorrow we're going to do this. And I got big plans for this. And it cheats you out of the now. It makes you romanticize the past and romanticize the future as well. That's called Rajaguna.
It means you're never actually getting anything done on the spiritual level because you can't get in the moment and get absorbed in it. Right?
And so,
So-
really, the Bhagavatam, or that transcendental hearing, is getting rid of Rajas and Tamas, the two gunas that bring you to the past and the future.
Okay. So he gives a little analogy here for it too. He says that when that Bhagavatam enters into the ear, that Krishna sits down, he enters into the heart, he sits down on the lotus flower of one's loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material associations such as lust, anger, and hankering. And then he says, thus it acts like, do you remember this analogy?
Scrubbing bubbles.
No, it wasn't scrubbing bubbles.
That was my analogy, scrubbing
Okay,
bubbles.
that was yours. He says it acts like autumnal rains upon
Autumnal
pools of
rains.
muddy water. Right.
Oh, yes.
And that's especially relevant like in Asia or South Asia where they have
Monsoon.
monsoon. So like the monsoon season, like all this rain, like all that, it creates like, these mudslide, it just stirs up all the mud and everything. And then for some weeks you have like muddy water, like that pond that's near your home, that it's like normally clear, now it's like all muddy. But then when the autumnal rains come, they kind of gently just push all that mud back down, and it makes it clear again. So he says that this hearing of Bhagavatam, it's acting like autumnal rains, in our consciousness, kind of clarifying it all. And then he goes on. He says, a pure devotee of the Lord whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy them. As hey, and this is a good one for you, right? As a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey.
Like a breeze over troubled waters. Yeah. Well, that is Krishna. That is Krishna, the fish hook of Krishna. It's got that barb. Krishna is that barb that gets lodged in your heart. What, can you say that again? That little part of that verse.
Well, he said that a pure devotee of the Lord whose heart has once
See, that's it.
been cleansed.
You get that
That's the hook.
taste once, it's the hook, and then you're hooked, and then you're like, okay, yeah, well, I'm not that into it. Well, this is okay for them, but not for me. It's too late. The hook has been set. It's over. Your material life is finished. Look at
Go ahead,
Kathy
give it
Haggerty.
up.
She's like, see, I can't get out of this now. It's like the Chinese handcuffs. You put your fingers and you just can't get them out no matter how hard you pull. Once you get that sweet taste, they just keep coming back. And you can run. You can sometimes run away for years.
Can you
But
hide?
Krishna's got you hooked, and he just lures you in when he's ready.
Nice.
It's quite beautiful.
Very beautiful.
You ever
Okay, so
think
we-
about it like you might lure yourself away from Krishna and then you die. Then he's got you for the next life. It's only a matter of time. He's going to get you in the next life. And there's probably people getting into bhakti now that were into it in their last life. Isn't that interesting to think like that?
Probably, definitely.
You know what I mean? They were like, yeah, I'm really into this. I'm really into this. Boom, hit by a car. They die, and then all of a sudden it's not over. They're going to pick up right where they left off. And maybe it's like they're just going down the street and they hear something. They hear a kirtan. Someone speaks some truth to them, and it just reminds them of who they are and where they're at.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about bhakti. There is no loss or diminution, meaning wherever you were, if you were to die today, you keep that consciousness, you keep that strong attachment, and you bring it with you in your next life.
That's Bhagavad Gita right there, right? 240.
I was thinking 6th chapter.
Well, that's there too. But that no loss or diminution is that.
Yeah.
It's text 240, right?
You just bring it with you.
You look at
all
little
like a spiritual bank account.
like people like little Nitai Lieberman and Gopi.
Yeah, look at these guys. These guys are regular Zoomers. If you see them, they're always dancing their little butts off at the end of the show. They're like ages whatever. What age are they? Like 5 and 9 or
Nitai
something.
looks like he's, I don't know, about 8 maybe.
Yeah. So
And
how do
Gopi's younger.
you get the karma to be born? They're not just like second generation. It's not just like his parents are devotees. His grandparents are devotees.
Third generation.
They're third generation. You know what that means?
What does it
Prabhupada
mean?
said 4th generation.
They light fire
They're
with
lighting,
mantra.
They're lighting fire with mantras. It's like
That means-
that's not a normal. I want to see that. I want to.
I want to live to see that.
I want to take birth again so I can see these kids all lighting fires with mantras. The birthday parties are really funny. Who's gonna light the candles? I will. Who's gonna blow out the candles? They blow them out with mantras too.
So,
But
what
anyway, this is.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
All I'm saying is that's not an ordinary birth to take birth into a third generation devotee family.
No, they're picking up where they left off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you can always blow it. You can always get born with every sort of privilege in the world, and you can blow it.
Mm-hmm.
And truthfully, everybody listening to the show right now is pretty privileged. We have a privileged life. What we do with our privilege, Mara? What we do with our privilege, that is going to make us really blessed, really auspicious, really fortunate, or it's going to be tragic. It's going to be tragic if you take all the privilege that you have. Not you, Mara, just everybody. Me too. If you take all the privilege that you have, and we just waste it, right? We have this opportunity right now where we're a little comfortable. You may not have that opportunity again. You may not have it again in this lifetime. You're a little comfortable right now. You're a little healthy right now, right? You may not have that tomorrow. And everything, this happens all the time. I was saying this in class yesterday. It's like, we think, well, we got some time to work on my bhakti. Maybe you don't. The most solid things collapse. Isn't that true? The most solid things. I'm not just talking about your family and your heartbreak and your husband left you, or I'm talking about that. Rome collapsed. Rome was around for 600 years. It collapsed. A bunch of crazy Vikings, nude, waving their hands, shaking, invading. That could happen to you. A bunch of Vikings right outside your door any minute. Not Vikings, Celts. The Celts came and taken Nancy Rothman's stuff away. That's going to happen, Nancy. Expect it. Any minute, we can get a reversal, and our whole bubble of peace could be over. This is Raghunath giving you the wake-up call today. Let's take this very seriously. We're in a bubble of peace. After the show, we're like, I'm going to make a green smoothie. Yeah, make a green smoothie. Chant your mantras. Do it. Take it seriously. Come on. Come on. Mary doesn't move. She just lifts her eyebrows. Wake up. It's like it takes a lot to move me.
All right, let's wake up by reading this commentary.
All right.
You want me to read it or you want to read it?
Let me read.
Okay, just try to do it like full sentences without like falling asleep this time, okay?
I wasn't falling asleep, sir. I'm a stutterer.
All right.
This is text 11, right?
Yeah.
And I get my bifocals on. The statement here that the Lord manifests himself before the devotee in the form in which the devotee likes to worship him indicates that
that was the other part of this verse, right? He said that.
Go on.
Right? Let's read that again. Go ahead and read that.
The statement here that the Lord manifests himself.
No. I mean, read from the verse. He says, "You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form." Like sweet baby Krishna for Raghunath?
Yeah. Right. However you imagine divinity.
He says, in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you. So it's like personal, right? It's individual. It's custom. He appears in a custom way tailored exactly to your devotional sentiments.
Imagine if you think Krishna is your friend. The cowherd boys just are thinking, Krishna is my friend.
Yeah.
And then when Indra made the rain come, right? And Krishna, with the very weakest part of his body. What's the weakest part of your body? Your pinky of your left hand is the weakest part of your body, right? If you ever want to hurt somebody and poke at them, don't poke them with your pinky of your left hand. It's not going to hurt them, right? But Krishna demonstrated that with this little tiny pinky. I'm going to lift up a gigantic mountain, Govardhan Hill. He lifted it up just like a little kid would pick up a mushroom, put it right over his head. And all of his friends, they didn't want to see Krishna as God. They worshipped him as, you are my good friend. And so they couldn't even understand that Krishna was lifting it up. Matter of fact, they took their cowherd sticks and they started sticking it under the hill. And they were thinking, okay, we're all lifting up this hill. It's got nothing to do with Krishna being Bhagavan. We're all lifting up this hill. He's just our buddy, you know?
Because if they thought of him as God, what would be the problem?
It would ruin that relationship.
How so?
Well, because if you're with God, you'd be in complete awe. You
Right.
wouldn't be able to. You wouldn't be able to have that camaraderie.
That
So
that that
Krishna puts
that
you in a
closeness,
special spiritual illusion called Yogamaya.
that intimacy would be affected by that awe and reverence. Oh, this is God. So they have to think of him. No, no, this is our friend.
He's our friend.
He's a
We're
special
helping.
friend.
We're all doing this. He's my special friend. We're all helping hold up this hill. No, you're not. You can't lift up a hill. Only Krishna can. So that Maya is covering them, thinking that they are lifting the hill as well.
So if you are, you're saying that in this verse is saying that if as your bhakti deepens, and that's the way you always think about like the friend, then he appears to you like that, right?
Yeah.
And that's
It-
and
it'll-
even
it-
it's
it'll come.
described that if that's your like Raghunath, he's all about sweet baby Krishna. He's got the parental sentiments. I see it, and so
practice.
therefore, for that kind of person, he appears at a certain age, right?
Yeah.
Like
Komar, Krishna Kumar, Krishna Kishore, right?
young, like
Young Krishna, young
like
boy
how young?
Krishna, Bal Krishna. Well, it depends on your meditation.
Okay.
I picture him as a little baby crawling around with a sweet ball, naked, a little black rope tied around his belt,
And some cudgel.
some cudgel on his eyes, little mascara,
Mm-hmm.
hair a little messy but cute.
Okay. So that's, you see, so it's just a matter of time before he fully manifests in Raghunath's heart, just like that, like at that age, right? But for someone who's especially sees Krishna as like their friend, what age does he appear as?
Krishna Kishore, more
what?
like a teenager or like an 8-year-old.
Yeah, like more, yeah, a little more like eight-ish, like
Yeah.
that, right? But then for one who sees him as a lover,
Yeah. Then there's
a little bit older.
yeah.
Okay. You're not interested in that.
No, I am interested. I just don't know it, and I don't want to give false information.
Like more like a
He's
young
like a
teen.
teenager. He's like a
Yeah.
young teen.
Yeah, like a young teen.
Um,
Okay. So he's manifesting custom made for the devotion of the devotee.
It's
Alright,
such an amazing thing how Krishna is treating you like you're the only being alive. Like he's fully aware of all of Kaustubha's needs, all of Lori Pag's needs, all of Greg DeGase's needs, all of Papa Tony's needs, as if these guys are like the only beings on earth.
He can do it.
He can do it. He has
He's
that
a Kila
ability.
Rasamrita Murti. He can like just that form of God appears in many forms, but in that form of Krishna, he can reciprocate Akila Rasamrita in that form, in that Murti. He can reciprocate in all different varieties of ways with all different varieties of people. He can be your baby. He can be your lover. He can be your friend. He can reciprocate with you individually on so many different levels.
You are my heart.
God, we gotta stop the song. That's not even appropriate. You could.
You are my lover. You're my best friend.
Gotcha.
You're in my soul.
Oh, thank you. All right,
You
very.
can take any of these songs and make them Krishna songs.
All right.
All right.
Let's not try though.
Why? Why? Let's try. Let's try. Let's do it every day. Every day. Okay, ready? I'm going to keep going.
Keep going.
This demand of the devotee is satisfied by the Lord because he is pliable in terms of transcendental loving service of the devotee.
He's
You just said that.
pliable.
He's pliable. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4:11. Love this verse. Mary, you should learn this one. Yayatamam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham. Right? As you surrender to the Lord, he rewards accordingly.
In that way, in a custom-made way, he responds.
Yeah. You move towards Krishna, he runs towards you. And you move back, he backs off.
Yeah.
He backs off. You want because you want him to back off. Okay, you back off. You got to be a little. He's a little detached because he wants you to be happy. He doesn't want to be all in your face. We should note, however, that the Lord is never the order supplier of the devotee.
Okay.
Here in this verse, it is particularly mentioned Tvam Bhakti-yoga Paribhavita. This indicates the efficiency achieved through execution of matured bhakti, or prema, love of
Prema.
Godhead. This state of prema is achieved by the gradual process of development from faith to love.
Oh, so what does that refer to?
Shraddha to prema.
Yeah, sure. So there's these 9 different stages, right? From faith, all the way up to love. So Prabhupada's alluding to that right
He's
there.
alluding. On faith, one associates with bona fide devotees. What do you think he's alluding to there?
I don't know. I think it's just pretty straightforward. What
Well,
does
I
it
think
mean?
he's going through these stages like Bhajana Kriya. That's what
I see. Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. All right. So read that again.
On faith, one associates with bona fide devotees.
So
By
that's
such
sadhu sangha.
association, one can be engaged in bona fide devotional service.
And that's Bhajana Kriya.
Yeah. Which includes proper initiation and the execution of the primary devotional duties prescribed in the revealed scriptures. This is clearly indicated here by the word Shrutiksita. The Shrutiksita path is to hear from bona fide devotees who are conversant with Vedic wisdom, free from mundane sentiment. Right? You're not like trying to throw politics into your spiritual conversation or personal self-help information.
Isn't this great? Isn't that great? Isn't that terrible? Blah, blah, blah. No.
Right. Yeah. By this bona fide hearing process, the neophyte devotee becomes cleansed of all material rubbish.
Okay, what's that alluding to?
Tamas and Rajas.
No, Anartha Nivritti.
Oh, Anartha Nivritti.
See, he's walking us right through these stages.
Through the ladder of, from Shraddha to Prema.
Yeah.
I get it. She become cleansed of the rubbish.
Rubbish.
And you know what? There's a lot of rubbish.
British.
There's a lot of rubbish in the mind.
Rubbish.
And thus he becomes attached to one of the many transcendental forms of the Lord, as described in the Vedas.
Well, that attachment, it seems to go a little, he's maybe even skipped a rung there. But so let's go ahead and talk about this. So he's walking us through these stages are laid out. That first there's faith, right? One has it's describing like the progress on the path of bhakti yoga, that it begins with some faith. Oh, I think there's really something to this. I really that kirtan, I felt something special. Those people, they seem really nice. That this hearing this Bhagavad Gita, I think there's really something here for me. So it starts with a little faith, but then that faith leads to
Sadhusanga.
Sadhusanga, which means
association with saintly people. Right. I heard from this. Now I've got to get more of these type of people who are connected like this in my life. I want to sort of like change my community. I want to upgrade my community. The people I've been hanging out with they've been doing crazy things. My mind's getting more defiled. It's getting filled with more rubbish. I need people who are going to bring me a little bit higher. I want to raise the bar.
Yeah.
In my consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I want to find sadhus.
Okay, so got to get you into my life. I'm surprised you didn't break into that one right there. But
I was gonna do.
Yeah, but you held back.
Hey, you gotta have faith. There's a song. There's a Wham
there's
song
one
for every
everything.
rung of the ladder.
Okay, so that would be interesting, right? What's the song for each step? Don't bother with budget. So then what does that lead to? First, there's some faith. Then you're associating with people that are practicing this. They're inspiring you. What's next?
Well, you can't. Just don't stop believing. That's
please.
Bhajana Kriya.
Yeah, Bhajana Kriya.
Bhajana Kriya.
So what does Kriya mean?
Kriya means like an internal action.
Or like I think it actually means like a cleanse, right? Some kind of cleansing.
I think it's like an activity of bhajan. That's how I always.
I always thought it's one becomes cleansed through bhajan.
Maybe.
I don't know. We can look up the word. But here what Prabhupada's doing here is he's equating that with taking initiation into this process, right? Like, one's practicing it, not just with a certain commitment. Like, I need to be instructed by someone that really knows about this, and I need to take this seriously and start to regulate my life. That's a new stage now, and through that process, one begins to advance, or one becomes cleansed, and then it gets to that next stage. Anartha Nivritti, that all these anartha, unwanted, things in our consciousness, that all that rubbish we begin to let go of it. But what he emphasizes here as bhajana kriya is the process of hearing, right? That's what he was speaking, and he used that word shrutekshita, right? This is clearly indicated here by the word shrutekshika. The Shrutekshika path is to hear from bona fide devotees who are conversing with Vedic wisdom, free from mundane sentiment. And thus by that hearing, then all that rubbish starts to disappear, and then one develops attachment.
You know,
And I was
go
going to say,
on.
and it's that attachment that Krishna becomes pliable to, right? It's
Yeah.
that kind of real devotional sentiment that Krishna's personally moved by.
Yeah. You know, we had a lot of talks this weekend in this Daytona teacher training I gave this weekend. Comparative with Christianity, and
You were doing a little interfaith dialogue?
little interfaith dialogue I did this weekend.
Okay.
And you know, a lot of the ideas, and I don't know where this came from in Christianity. I don't know, like it was made up down the line, but the idea of that we're born sinful and we're sinners, and Christ died for our sins. So I like that concept. The guru takes on the sins, but the fact that we are sinful, we are broke. I love this theology in bhakti that we're actually pure, and
Yeah.
even the hankering and the lamenting, it comes from an impure state. And as we put the clean in the consciousness, put the superfoods of sound, the superfood of sound in the consciousness, that pure self is already there.
It's just the mind that's all screwed up.
It's just the mind that gets screwed up. In the process of hearing, it's the medicine for the mind.
Right.
And then, when the mind melts, you'll see, oh, I get it. That hankering, lamenting, those were just layers, just like the gobstopper, that candy. It has different layers we got to go through before we get to that little goodie in the center. So there's different layers of muck, of grime, of, stickiness that's covering the soul. And this regular imbibing of transcendental sound changes you.
Yeah.
Changes you.
That was beginning to sound more like your car. Muck, stickiness. Right.
You better not laugh, Mara. Don't you laugh.
She knows.
She knows. She's driven for a ride in my car. Okay.
You continue?
Continuing on. Next paragraph, right?
Disattachment.
This attachment of the devotee to a particular form of the Lord is due to a natural inclination. Prabhupada's laying it out right here.
It's natural.
Each and every living entity is originally attached to a particular type of transcendental service because they are eternally the servitor of the Lord.
That's a big statement right there.
Yeah, we are already attached.
It's something like
It's part of you.
that relationship is just sitting there kind of asleep, right? And we're sitting around here playing in a dream. But that particular loving relationship is just waiting for us to step right back into it,
Therefore, every living entity has a particular type of service relationship with the Lord eternally. This particular attachment is invoked by practice of regulative devotional service to the Lord, and thus the devotee becomes attached to the eternal form of the Lord, exactly like one who is already eternally attached. Wow. Prabhupada's saying it. It's through your regular spiritual practice that you become like these liberated souls who are eternally, spontaneously attached.
They become your inspiration,
Yeah.
right? Like there's
Mother Yasoda.
Yeah. It's like there's a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a I don't know, prototypes but
Not a protege.
not protege, prototype.
Mentor.
Yeah, well, mentor, but in other words, like there's an example of that type of love.
Mother Yasoda is my mentor.
That Mother Yashoda is your mentor. You see that the love that she has for Krishna, the particular way that it's expressed, right? It inspires one, and that's the love that I want, and I want that to rise in my heart. So that's what he's referring to there, where he says that, and thus the devotee becomes attached to the eternal form of the Lord, exactly like one who is already eternally attached, right? Following in the footsteps, following in the wake of these devotees that have that love.
This is all confidential stuff.
It's
Matter of fact,
esoteric stuff.
Esoteric, in the teacher training I did yesterday, they were all asking me, okay, once we get liberated, once we get out of samsara, then what? And I was like, can't tell you. Can't tell you. It's
no
private
there.
stuff. You got to
just
listen to the
work on
wisdom of
that.
the sages.
You just
You
work
just
on
work
that.
on getting out of your maya.
Yeah.
But this is it. Prabhupada's about to listen up. The particular attachment is invoked by practice of regulative devotional service to the Lord.
That's what you're saying. That's what, work on the regulative,
and the spontaneous will come. And thus the devotee becomes attached to the eternal form of the Lord, exactly like one who is already eternally attached. This attachment for a particular form of the Lord is called Svarupa Siddhi. That means it's a mystical perfection where you fully get what you actually are. I thought I was an Italian, American, New Yorker. It's an illusion.
Okay.
There is something that I actually am underneath this massive meat carcass that I'm walking around in. That's what it is. The Lord sits on the lotus of the devotee.
The lotus heart.
The lotus heart of the devotee in the eternal form of pure devotee desires.
That the pure devotee desires.
Oh, mine doesn't say that.
The Lord sits on the lotus heart of the devotee in the eternal form the pure devotee desires.
It doesn't say that for yours.
I know, but
either,
I said that to clarify. But the way that you read it, you completely missed it. So I said that.
You're adding
now
words
you're
to
nitpicking
Prabhupada's
me.
statements.
You're
That's what's going on here. You're adding. Never add, Prabhupada said.
Well, but you took away, so I had to add.
And thus the Lord does not part from the devotee, as confirmed in the previous verse. The Lord, however, does not disclose himself to a casual or unauthentic worshiper to be exploited.
Okay, this is important too. There's so much actually that there's a lot in this purport. Keep going.
I love this next verse. This is another great verse to memorize, Mara. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha. Rather by yoga maya, let's just that verse means I'm never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent.
So he's here. Probably that sentence started by saying he's saying he's going to. If you have pure devotion, if you have prema, if you have genuine devotional sentiments and attachment to him, he's going to manifest in your heart. But he's not going to manifest. He mentions two types of people. He's not going to manifest himself to the casual or unauthentic worshiper. So we all may have a little casual worshiper in us, or maybe some unauthentic worshiper. We need to know what that's more about. So I think he's going to get more into that as we go.
Mary, are you casual?
No casual. I'm a little casual too.
Yeah.
We don't take it seriously enough, you know.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's trying to goad us towards being less casual, more serious, and authentic. The Lord is never visible to the pseudo devotees who worship the demigods in charge of universal affairs. The conclusion is that the Lord cannot become the order supplier of the pseudo devotee, right? You're only using God. Oh, please, God, will you give me this? Please, God. Kaustubha was saying last week how when you approach the Lord, you go through this process of appreciating and seeing the beautiful lotus feet of the Lord and seeing the smile of the Lord and then offering prayers to the Lord. Remember that? You don't just go up to the Lord and say, oh, start giving me stuff. And
that's not love.
That's not love. That is using God as a metaphysical Amazon Prime.
Okay. Yeah, but
I pray for this. I pray for that. I pray for this. I pray for that.
You know, people will use the term bhakti, like say someone's doing puja, right? There's some murti that they're in front of some form of a god or goddess, and they're offering incense, and they're maybe singing a little bhajan, singing a little song, and they say, well, that's bhakti. But this is saying that's if the motive isn't pure, if the motive isn't love, but it's like, I want this from you, it's pseudo bhakti. You know, it's like someone coming up and saying, I love you, but you know they just want to get something from you. It's not actually bhakti. So the idea here is we have to get to the bottom of it. You know, we have to root out whatever's impure, or root out also whatever's casual in us, right? And get intense about this kind of thing.
And this is our real work, is to get rid of our pseudo-ness and become a little focused, get a little bit more authentic. That's why we're here. The conclusion is that the Lord cannot become the order supplier of the pseudo devotees, but he always is prepared to respond to the desire of pure, unconditional devotee who is free from all tinges of material infection. You are materially infected. You need the
You're about to say
transcendental vaccine. You need the transcendental vaccine of pure love of God. Highly recommend you get
Mary, you got
vaccine
any
right now.
You got any takeaways, Mary?
Yeah, Lady Di says, regular transcendental hearing purifies the mind and spiritualizes the heart.
Nice.
And then there's also Hankering for the Future and the Past cheats you of the now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good. Hankering.
And we stop being casual, stop being pseudo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and get the transcendental vaccine, the real vaccine, the pure love of God. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Hey, if you want to join us in India, we're going to do this. Me and Kaustubha, Mara's going to be there. We're all going to be there for the wisdom training, for the Super Soul Bhakti-yogi 300-hour training, for the Kirtan Academy. It's all going to happen. You can check my website, raghunath.yoga, or supersoulyoga.com for more info. We're going to rock this in January. We're also working on our Wisdom of the Sages retreat in New York City at the Bhakti Center, coming up the second week. More details coming this week. Second weekend of June. Also in Long Beach, California, we're going to do on the first weekend of June. And this Saturday, come on down, people.
That's this Saturday.
That's this Saturday, man. I'm going to see you, Baba. Maybe I'll come down a day early.
Wow. Okay, we got to hang out. You know, we got to work on making some videos and stuff. Let's do that this weekend, right? Or maybe come down early or something.
So anyway, that's this weekend, everybody. So come on down to the Bhakti Center in person, really in person. Thanks, everybody. Time to dance, time to sing.